Hello, hello. This is Jeffrey Blair, and welcome to the seminar, Learning How Trust Can Protect Your Family. This is part of an estate planning made simple seminar series I've been doing over this past year. So welcome as people enter the room. Welcome to the event. And I'm here with my daughter, Sarah. Welcome, Sarah.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm generally curious about estate planning and how it applies to me, especially as a young person.
Yeah.
So I'm excited just to hear more and share the information with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. So did you hear that? Estate planning is not just for old folks,
No.
but adults at every age needs to really have a good understanding about estate planning. And it is a family affair.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was appropriate. Let's mix it up a little bit, bring my daughter in, and we'll talk about it some, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Welcome, everybody. If you have anyone else that you want to have join us, just go ahead and text them the link, have them come and join us. And we have some really good information we're going to be talking about today. Again, we're going to be talking about, learning how a trust can help protect your family. And again, this is a part of the estate planning made simple seminar. All right, so welcome, and let's get started. All right, hope you guys can hear okay. And when you're here, don't be shy. Just say that you're here and where you're from, and anything else that you may want to share. All right, I want to make this a very dynamic conversation. So first of all, we're going to be talking about the role of a trust in estate planning. Just kind of go through a little bit of that. What is a trust, right? Will versus trust, which I had that question a couple of times this week. So I'll kind of go through that a little bit and hopefully explain, individuals exactly why a trust is so important and why maybe you're hearing about it so much online. Right? Okay. And then if you stay to the end, I think we should probably be about 30 minutes, probably no more than that. Then I have a special gift for you. But that's if you stay to the end.
Ooh, exciting. All right, let's jump in.
All right.
So what exactly is estate planning?
So good question. And it's interesting because individuals that may speak with over past few weeks, they're like, oh, estate planning is that real estate? Is it financial planning?
Yeah.
Is it whatever? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. What is estate planning? But it's real important. A trust is a part of estate planning.
Okay.
And so for you to understand the trust, you have to understand how it fits into the whole picture of estate planning. Okay. And like I said, everyone needs to have an estate plan. If you're an adult, everyone needs to have an estate plan. It's not just for the wealthy, and it's not just for individuals that are, little older. Not just that. All right. So this slide just has a little bit of my credentials as an estate planning attorney. That's my specialty. That's all I do. That's what I focus on. I've had a long career, a bachelor's degree in computer science. I've worked for the government, Social Security Administration. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies, top tier universities. I've done consulting work along the way. But at this stage of my career, like I said, I really am focusing on estate planning for families. And one reason I went down this path is I started doing this for my own family, right? For my mother, for your grandmother. And I started to understand, wow, there's so many tools that are out there people don't know. And so many families that go through so much stress, either, financial hardships and eroding in taxes and fees, or just the stress of the family because these tools weren't put into place. Mm-hmm. And so I like, what a waste, right? The tools are there to just utilize in the right way can alleviate so many issues. So I'm on a quest. I want to educate my community about the tools that are there readily available for you if you're just aware of them and have someone like myself to help guide you through that. So that's why I'm on this path.
I love that. And that's exactly why we're here today. Make it simple, make it easily accessible for people so that they can do that on their own journey. 100%.
All right, so let's go. So first of all, estate planning. When we talk about estate planning, you see this term generational wealth. You've seen it online a lot. And there's really two phases to that, right? There's the accumulation phase, and then there is the transfer of wealth phase.
Oh, great.
Right? I can't transfer if I don't accumulate it first.
Right.
And the way I'm accumulated is maybe I'm going to get an education, get some degrees so I can be marketable and I can get a good paying job and save some money, make investments, my career, maybe I start a business. All these various things want to build wealth.
Great.
And I think most people put time into that. That's right, because you can't really transfer what you don't have. Right?
Exactly.
So it makes sense. But you got to think about also, okay, well, how do I transfer this on after I go?
Right.
We don't want it to be a situation where it's every generation has to start from zero.
Yeah.
Right. And a part of that is to make sure that whatever I do, to the best of my ability, I'm going to pass it on to the next generation so they can now go from that, and that, my ceiling can be their bottom. And then they can go from there. And that's kind of like it is. So estate planning is that phase, transferring the wealth.
Great.
And people a lot of times don't put enough thought into this. And even celebrities we hear about all the time, they die and the will's not proper, or, there's fights over the will, or they didn't have a trust, although they're even a high net worth individual. And it just caused so much issues. So much money gets eroded in legal fees and battles and taxes because the tools weren't applied properly.
Wow. So people could work their whole life, day and night, accumulate all this wealth, and it not be transferred easily or at all to their kids that they're working for.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what a shame.
That is a shame.
And especially because there are tools here.
Yeah.
It's just you gotta be aware of that about them and then utilize them.
The more you know. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is. What they say, my people suffer for a lack of knowledge, right? And so I want to make sure and try to help people understand this. So that's, when we talk about estate planning, is that part.
Great.
How do I pass on that wealth that I've accumulated?
And as your daughter, I'm particularly excited about the transferring part. So let's get more into it.
Okay. I can understand that. All right. So next, let's go to the next slide. And again, according to the Bible again, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children.
Great.
All right.
Planning ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. You can't take it with you. No. So the question is, well, then what happens to it? I'd rather dictate what happens to it than to have the courts or the government dictate what happens.
Exactly.
To it, right. Okay. So that's why estate planning is so important. All right. Let's see. All right. So let's keep going. Next slide. So I went over some of this already, but estate planning is important because it ensures that your wishes are honored. It protects your loved ones and your assets, minimizes taxes, right, and legal hurdles. It plans for incapacity and disability. So it's not just when you pass, but it's also even while you're still alive, but maybe you can't manage for yourself, either your finances or even make decisions about your health, all those various things.
Yes.
All that's about estate planning because your number one asset is you. Yeah.
I know we don't like to talk about the times when things could be bad for us down the road, but we have to plan for every single thing that could happen to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's it. You plan for it, and now you have peace of mind. Because you're
love that.
It's tucked away. It's planned for.
Yes.
I don't want it to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, I have a plan in place. And there are tools that are here available to assist you with that.
Great.
And here's a big one why estate planning is so important. Avoid family disputes. So I know you have heard stories and probably have family situations, extended families maybe, where, someone passes and then boom, the family just goes into this big feud between who gets what, or who does what, or how things are split. They want to keep the house, someone wants to sell the house, So without these tools in place, that stress you can see how that can come up, Of course. But with a plan in place that helps alleviate that as much as possible.
Great.
Also provide for minded children. Secure, if you have a business, making sure that business succession plan is put into place. What happens if you become incapacitated or someone passes, right? Charitable causes, maybe there's a church or charity that you want to make sure it gets taken care of. You can also make sure that's there. Maintain your privacy. Again, we're going to talk about it in a second. And also, save time and stress for your beneficiary. So again, it's important to really think about estate planning, and a trust is one tool of estate planning.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So laying the groundwork. We're going to get there. All right. So when we talk about an estate plan, someone said, "Okay, well, what's the perfect estate plan?" And I can't answer that question because the perfect estate plan all depends on your estate. All depends on your family. All depends on your wishes, right? So there are single parent households. There are step families that get together, second and third husbands and wives. All different dynamics that are there. So an estate plan only works if it fits the dynamic of your family. So there's no cookie cutter piece. That's why a lot of those do it yourself or those online type of tools, I'm kind of, I'm leery of that because, it's very personal.
Yes.
And it's so you have to really be able to talk with someone like myself who's going to listen and observe and see what your dynamics are of your family, as well as what your wishes are, what are some of the challenges, and then we can start looking at some of the tools that can maybe help fit your situation.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's customized. It's a customized fit. There's no cookie cutter. So, but with that said, there are some basic pieces that will be there as a basic building block.
Okay.
And so one of those is a revocable living trust, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Another is a last will and testament. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And even if you have a trust, you still would have a will, and they kind of work together. And we can elaborate that a little bit later. A power of attorney, right? And in case this particular one that we're talking about finances, in case you become incapacitated or disabled, who's going to be able to manage your finances?
Yes.
The best power of attorney. And then healthcare directive, similar thing. As you become incapacitated or disabled and not able to speak for yourself, who's going to make those medical decisions for you?
I know you don't like to think about it, but this is so important.
Yeah.
Anything could happen, and you should have a plan when it does.
That's right.
So this is great.
That's right. And I just had a client call because his son is going away to college. This is the college season right now, and they called because they wanted to get a package for their son. And a lot of people don't know when your child becomes 18, they're an adult. So if they go away to school and God forbid anything happens, you as a parent can't call up and get any information about them because as an adult, there are HIPAA laws and there are, a lot of different things that would be, a challenge for you in order to be able to do that. So making sure that even your children have these documents in place, even though they don't have any assets yet.
Yes.
But remember, the most important asset is yourself.
Yeah.
And so making sure that you have that plan set up even from the time you become an adult. Okay. And then you start to build on it. But anyway, the point is that these are some of those basic building blocks. And some of these other things, I will have separate seminars to talk about, a little more deep dive on power of attorneys and healthcare directives and things like that.
Great.
Okay? So trust is one of those items. All right. So
great. This is perfect because I always wondered, I hear trust, I hear will. What is the difference? Like, where does one come in? Is one better than the other? Yeah, I'd love to hear more. Okay, absolutely. And that's a question that comes up quite a bit. Okay.
Will or trust? Which one is better? Which one works for me? Or, so on and so forth. Right. And, again, they're different tools. It's like, what's better, a screwdriver or a hammer, right? I mean, it depends. It depends what you need it for. So a will is great. And usually start with this when explaining a trust because most people are familiar with a will.
Yes.
Right? You've probably seen in the movies where everybody gathers in the attorney's office and you're like, so he bequests the car to this person and bequests the house to this person. Yes. This person gets nothing, and whatever, all that. Right? That's the will. And it's a legal document. You set it up when you're alive, and when you die, this is what happens. Right? Okay. So that's fine. People are pretty much familiar with that. But there are some places where a will can fail.
Okay.
Right? One of the things that people don't know is that even if you have a will still has to go to probate court.
What is probate?
Did you know that?
Sort of. I knew it had to go through some sort of legal proceeding, but what exactly is probate court? Yeah, not just the legal, but it has to go to probate court. So, so in New Jersey, it's a surrogate court, and you have to go. Probate means prove. Okay. So we have to prove that the will is authentic, and also gives notices to creditors in case the estate has, you have bills that you didn't pay, and the person passes away, and also a challenge, an opportunity for people to challenge in case someone was left out of the will. Oh, wow. They can challenge it as well. So it's not necessarily straightforward. Okay. It can be problematic. It can take time. It can end up becoming expensive, and it's a public proceeding. Okay. There are different industries that actually target probate court because they know this is a place for somebody they know, hey, this person's going to inherit, $500,000. So of course they're going to start targeting them. Scammers, do that as well. So, it's a public proceeding. Even if you have a will, you still have to go to probate court. Wow. Yeah. All right. Also, it doesn't provide for incapacity. So although at a will it says when I pass, give so-and-so this, give so-and-so that, give so-and-so that. If you're still alive but not able to manage your finances or anything like that, the will has nothing to do with that. It only happens when you
Also, it's problematic across state lines. So if I live in New Jersey and I have a property here and I have an investment property in Florida and an investment property in Missouri, I have to go to not me, but my heirs would have to go to probate. My executor, if I choose, would have to go to probate in 3 different states.
Wow. So that's 3 different times that scammers could see your public information.
Yes.
3 different times you have to show up in different areas.
That's right.
And especially when you're going through the death of a family member, you're going to have to go to these to deal with their will.
That's
wow.
Right. That's right.
That's a lot.
So again, I'm not, a will is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But this is just the reality. If you have a will, a lot of people are shocked and they say, I didn't think I had to go through all this.
Yes.
I have a will. I thought that was it. It's done. It's like, no, there are legal formalities you have to go through in order to make sure. And again, it could be quite extensive and quite expensive, actually, down the line. Also, in a will, again, it's a point in time. When I pass, give so-and-so this. When I pass, give so-and-so that. Well, if someone that you may be passing it to, let's say is a child, or even if they're 18 and they're an adult, does an 18-year-old have the maturity to manage an inheritance that you may want to give them?
I don't think so.
Right?
As recently I've been 18 now.
I wanted you to answer that. I didn't want to,
no, not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what a will does, right?
Yeah.
A will says to give it to them, and that's a challenge, right? I mean, it's a challenge. So again, a will is not bad, but these are just some of the things that can, that will fail.
It's limited.
It is. All right. So let's jump into. I'm just trying to show you that. So now let's go to something a little bit better, which is a trust. There are different types of trust, but the one that's most popular that most people will have, even if you have something more complicated at some point, the basic format will be a revocable living trust.
Great.
Right. It's better. It's similar to a will, but some people mention it's like a will on steroids, right?
Okay.
Because there's so many features that are built into this, right? Okay, revocable living trust. And again, just to make clear, this is not a new thing.
Okay.
It's not like a new thing. You're probably hearing about it more, but it's something that is, it's eons old, and a lot of times only the wealthy would use these. Going back to the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and so on and so forth, right? Back in the day. But so now it's made available to even, middle class families and utilize it to manage their assets and pass it on that generational wealth. So revocable living trust. I'm going to a little bit about it and some of the benefits of it. So basically, it's a legal document. Again, similar to a will. So there's a formality in it. It's a contract pretty much. It can be, depending on the complexity of the trust, it can be anywhere from 30 pages to 120 pages, right? Because trying to really capture what is it that you want to have happen, in your capacity or when you pass on to your beneficiaries.
Okay.
I'm going to go into it for a little bit. I'm not going to go through all the benefits of this.
Okay.
But you actually can go to my website, www.jeffreyblairlaw.com, and they have, some more details there about this and go into more detail when you have time. But I will highlight a few things. Okay. Some of the benefits. Avoids probate. So when we create this, right, we create this for you. We get together, create this for you. And once we, execute it, it's not public. It's not recorded. It's just between you and your family and your beneficiary.
So no traveling to those 3 states, no court, no scammers, none of that.
No.
Oh wow! Exactly. Just because of that, I'm convinced.
So I can stop here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, that is interesting enough. That is one of the most common benefits that people actually enjoy.
Okay.
Is the fact that in the privacy that no one needs to know anything about that.
Great.
All right. Protects your privacy. That's it right there. Protects beneficiaries with special needs. And this is happening more and more, where I have parents with special needs children that want to be taken care of. And I'll give an example a little bit later. Also protects your assets from creditors, not your creditors, but from your beneficiaries' creditors.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to go through a case, a thing on that to show you how that works. Also, there's different things for complex family dynamics. There are different features that can be incorporated to really address that as well.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to some examples. And simplifies multi-state estate planning, which you just mentioned.
Yes.
Right? Exactly. All right. So there's a lot of good benefits here, and I'm going to go into a little more detail. But what I want to kind of show you is the dynamics of a trust, kind of logistics of it, how it works, and then I'll show some use cases. Okay. All right. And of course, anyone who's watching now, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat, and we'll try to we'll get to it as well. All right. Okay. So let's go on. So revocable living trust. There are 3 main actors in the trust. There's what's called in New Jersey, it's called a settlor. or a grantor.
Okay.
That's the person who creates the trust. This
Okay.
person who has some assets, real estate, maybe a stocks or some savings or any type of investments he may have. And that's the settler, so he has these things. So he wants to put it into a trust, right? So the trust is again, it's a contract. It's a legal document that I would put together based upon your deeds. But basically think of it as a bucket.
Okay.
It's a contract that holds assets.
Okay.
Right. And you can, so once it's created, then you start putting assets into it.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So it's a trust that's like a bucket. And in that bucket, you also are going to indicate, who is the trustee.
Okay.
And the trustee is the person who manages the trust. So after you actually create the trust, then you indicate who is the one that's going to manage it.
It can't be yourself.
It can be yourself.
Okay.
So it's that you would have two different roles. You'd be the person. Usually that's what we do, whether it's an individual or even a couple. They will be the settlers, the creators of it, but they will also be the initial trustee.
Okay.
Right. So so they manage it. So the trust contains all the language and all of the instructions of what they want to have happen to their assets if they become incapacitated or if they pass, so on and so forth. So now that it's all written, they don't. The settler is kind of like, okay, that's my instructions. Yep. Now the trustee carries it out,
okay,
right, and manages it. So now initially, you who created it are usually the trustee, okay, right? Usually, what happens. But what happens is you also indicate if I become incapacitated or when I pass, who's going to be the successor trustee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you have someone else that's going to play that role.
Okay.
Right. And so that way your wishes continue on even when you're not able to voice them.
Wow.
Because they're captured in the trust.
And how specific can you get with the trust? Let's say you are able to appoint someone okay, if I become incapacitated, this person's going to control my finances.
Yes.
What if something happens to that person?
And you can keep you can keep going. Right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you can have it. A lot of times you have at least two.
Okay.
Right. And sometimes you even do co-trustees. You have two people and you do it at the same time.
Oh, nice.
So that way if one can't, the other can.
Great.
So there's a lot of flexibility in how this can be done.
Contingency plans for the plans. And
Absolutely.
With you not being there, you want to be as specific as possible. Right?
100%. That's why it ends up being so long.
Oh, great.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. It could be a very long document.
Okay.
Okay, so that's trustee. So there's two roles: settler, trustee, and then also a successor trustee. Okay. Right? And that's the power of the trust.
Okay.
How it continues on even beyond yourself.
Great.
But all of this is being done for one thing, one important thing, right? For the benefit of the beneficiaries. Mm-hmm. And this is where you lay out your beneficiaries. And not only who, but even how and when do they get their distribution.
Speak more about that. What do you mean?
We're going to go through an example.
Oh, perfect.
We're going to see.
I love examples.
No,
okay.
We'll see. We're going to example. But just for right now, just kind of give a visual layout of exactly how this is. I have a question here from Jennifer Gist. Should married couples create separate estate plans or should they have one plan? Can you explain pros and cons? Oh, absolutely. Sure. So again, like I said, it's hard. It's hard to answer to say which to have. Yep. One or the other is better than or the other. It's what it is. It depends on the sort of the makeup. If the couple has most of their assets in common, okay, then they can have one plan, okay, right? And in that one plan, they would have one trust. And the assets that they share, or even if they have separate assets, if they put it all together into that trust, they would have separate power of attorneys. They'd have separate healthcare directives. Okay. They'd have separate even pour-over wills, right? And so in the context of a trust plan, you still would have a will. It's called a pour-over will in this situation, a pour-over will. Okay. Like a pour-over coffee.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And the reason being is there are two stages to trust. One is creating the document, creating it with all the instructions and all the roles laid out. The second part is called funding the trust. Okay. And then when you're funding the trust, you're putting the actual assets into the trust, into that bucket. Okay. But now let's say we do that today, and then tomorrow you buy another property, or you open up another account. Right. That's not in the trust. Okay. We can put it into the trust, but let's say, God forbid, you pass before you do that. Okay. What the will does is say, if anything I didn't put into my trust, put it into the trust. That's what that will is for. That's why it's called a pour-over will. So that. But now, if you have couples where maybe it's a blended family, and they have children, different marriages, or maybe they have different assets, or maybe one person may be prone to lawsuits. Maybe one is a doctor. One is has a business as an attorney, and they have malpractice insurance, things like that. And you kind of want to like, okay, let's kind of maybe keep it a little bit separate because there could be, risk to being sued and things like that.
Yeah,
so there could be reasons it's like to say, hey, you know what? Let's do 2 separate trusts so that we can, sort of manage that. So to answer your question, Jennifer, it kind of depends on what the asset makeup of is the family, as well as the dynamics of the family, whether it's step family, step children, and how those things will come into play is whether you have 1 trust or whether you would have 2.
It's a great question.
Yeah. But unless there's a reason for it, usually you would have 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great question.
Hopefully that answers the question. All right. So I'm still going through the structure, the logistics. You have the settler, one who creates it. You have the trustee, the one who manages it. And then you have all this is happening for the beneficiary.
Okay.
Right. That's what it is. So now what happens is that, as I alluded to already, that's the first phase. The trust is created, all the roles are set up. Then the next phase is called funding.
Okay.
And that's where we actually fund it. So if you have assets that are titled to just a house, that's where I would create a deed, and I would actually deed it from you personally, or you and your husband as joint owners of the property into the name of the trust.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So if someone goes there and looks it up, they don't see your name; they'll see the name of the trust.
Okay.
This house is owned by the trust. So now, once it's funded, then now the trustee, which in your case it'd be you, because you're the first trustee, continues to manage the same way as you always did. Right? You're still going to, pay the mortgage. You're still going to cut the grass, and you're still responsible for it. And the beautiful thing about this too is this is a revocable living trust, which means I can change it during my lifetime. Okay. I can tell you know what, I wanted so and so to be trustee. I want to change that to be something else, or I want to change some term of the trust, or I want to change the beneficiary of the trust, or you know what, I want to get rid of the trust altogether. I want to revoke it altogether. Like you can do that. Okay. Right. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Right. And it's living because it's during your lifetime. So, things change and you can always make changes to it. In the case things change in your life, or if things change in the law. Laws change all the time. Yeah. Right. Depending on what administration is active at the time, things can change. And so we in the industry, we recommend every 3 to 5 years you come in to do a checkup. Okay. Just to make sure everything, all the statutes, everything is still lined up. Nothing has really changed that may, the last thing you want to do is say, oh, I set it up, it's all done, and then the laws change, and then the outcome is not going to be the way you think it's going to be because of some law that changed. Absolutely. So you just want to make sure that. So anyway, so that's why revocable is very good, because you're able to change things, and it's really not that difficult. Okay. All right. So we have that. So now what happens then if you're out of the picture, the trust still lives, right? The assets are in the trust. Your trustee has the instructions, and they're legally bound, and they have to follow those instructions. And the beneficiaries are protected, and they will get the assets the way you said they're supposed to get them, because the trustee will carry that out. Wow. You understand the logistics a little bit?
I do. I understand, especially as a Virgo and a little bit of a control freak. I love the idea of being able to dictate where my things that I've worked my whole life for is going beyond my own life. Yes. So that's great to hear.
Absolutely. So as they say, control from the grave.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all right. So good. So let's go on and look at some examples.
Great. I'd love some examples.
All right. Here's an example.
Okay.
Meet Sarah and James.
Hey.
Planning for their children's future.
Okay.
All right. So Sarah and James have 2 young children, right? Emma and Jake. And they worry what would happen if they pass away unexpectedly.
Of course.
Right? That's a worry that parents have. I have 4, so I know what that's like. So if Sarah and James leave their assets outright to their kids, they're minors. Minors cannot inherit until they become 18. Okay. So the court would have to appoint a guardian who would manage the money until they become 18. Okay. You see, it could be problematic right there already, right? Yeah. How much of the money would they actually get by the time they're 18? Right. And what type, So anyway, at that point, Emma and Jake would then receive their full inheritance, regardless of whether they are financially responsible or not. This goes back to that 18-year-old problem. Yes. Right? Even if they were 18, still, do you think, an 18-year-old were responsible to receive an inheritance? Right. Here's where a trust can come in.
Oh, great.
All right. So what we can have, what this trust solution is that Sarah and James will create a children's trust. naming Sarah's sister, Lisa, as the trustee. And the trust will pay for Emma and Jake's education, right? Medical care and living expenses. And all this is laid out in the trust.
Wow.
Allow Lisa to decide when and how funds are distributed based on the children's needs. So again, someone that you trust that will be able to do this. And you can even stagger the distribution. You could say they get a certain percentage when they finish college.
Oh, wow.
Or they get a certain percentage when they're 25. And then another percentage when they're 28. Another percentage when they're 30. You know, things like that. Wow. So you can protect your children from themselves.
Yes.
Because they probably want it all at one time.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, you get a certain percentage over time, and I'm protecting them.
Yes.
Right. And that's a children's trust. So here's the thing that a trust can do that, you know, again, that a will can't.
Wow. That's a lot of power, a lot of control you still have.
Yes.
Especially when you're dealing with your money and your kids. You want to be able to dictate that. So that's great.
Yep. 100%. Wow. Okay, good. So that's like this. Here's another example. That's just one scenario. All right. Here's another scenario. Meet Brian and Michelle. All right. So Brian is a retired engineer, and his Susan, but it's actually Michelle, a former teacher. They both worked hard for their entire lives and built a comfortable life. They own a home. They have a well-funded 401k, life insurance policy, bringing their total estate to about $1.5 million.
Wow, that's a dream.
Good. Absolutely. Yes. So here's the problem. Brian and Michelle have a son named John, who's happily married for now.
Okay.
They're not putting any shade on them. They're just, things happen, right? They like their daughter-in-law, but they've seen too many divorces turn ugly. They worry that if they leave their estate to John outright and he gets divorced, half of their hard-earned assets could end up in the hands of his ex-wife and out of the family.
Of course.
And this happens quite a bit.
I bet it happens a lot.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So if you look at the bottom, it says Financial Planning Magazine, and this is a quote from them. The client's biggest concern for their wealth after they're gone is that someone will take financial advantage of their children or their grandchildren. But you can do something about that.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
All right, let's look at the solution for that. That's where a trust can come in. So here's the trust solution.
Okay.
Brian and Michelle set up a revocable living trust we just spoke about that says when they pass away, John's inheritance will be placed into a protected trust for his benefit. So he doesn't get it outright. It goes into a trust, right? This type of trust, sometimes it's called an inheritance protection trust, keeps John's inheritance separate from his marital property.
Wow.
That means if John ever faces divorce, his inheritance remained protected.
Wow.
He can still use the funds as he needs, but his ex-spouse or creditors or lawsuits cannot get to it.
Wow.
Power of a trust.
Wow.
Power of a trust. Absolutely. Yes.
Covers all those basics.
That's
for amazing.
Sure. For sure. So that's definitely. And so, one of the things too, as young people too, if you know that you are getting an inheritance from either your family, maybe a grandparent, or maybe a parent, talk to them about putting it into a trust so it can protect you.
Yes.
So that your inheritance can stay, with you.
Yes.
God forbid, and pray no divorce ever happens. But lawsuit, car accident, something like that, taxes issue, anything like that, that funds can be protected because it never becomes a part of your own estate. Okay. Yeah.
That's
so talk to your parents or grandparents about putting it into a trust.
Yes.
Yes.
Plan for as many contingencies as you can.
For
sure. Definitely.
Sure. All right. Let's go to the next one. We've got two more examples. All right. So meet Rachel and David. Rachel and David are a young couple raising their energetic and lovable son, Junior, who has special needs. Their lives are full of joy, structure, and the daily challenges that come with ensuring Junior gets the care and support he needs. So here's the problem. They often worry, what if something happens to us? Who will care for Junior as a minor or even as an adult if he has special needs? Will an inheritance or life insurance disqualify him from essential benefits like Medicaid or SSI? So in case for those who don't know, if a child or even an adult who has special needs is getting government benefits, Social Security or Medicaid, because of some physical or mental disability, if they get an inheritance from someone, if you're like, the parent dies and, through a will, give them their home or a life insurance policy and a few $100,000, well, guess what? They're no longer eligible for those benefits and they can be cut off.
Is that considered as income at that point?
That's right.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. But here's a solution, again, where a trust can come into play.
Trust.
And this is a type of trust. So this is a little different than local living trust, but it's still a trust nonetheless. And it's a special needs trust. And it's a trust that's set up especially for this type of situation, where instead of giving it to them outright, you give it to them in the form of a special needs trust. And so it's utilized in a way so that it will protect them, so that, again, it's not a part of their own assets, but the funds, they can be used for certain things. As long as used for those certain things, then they can also keep the government benefits and also keep their inheritance. Make sense?
Wow. That makes a lot of sense.
Again, there are tools out here for so many situations, but a lot of times people don't know about it. And I feel that just feels criminal.
Right.
People need to know about these tools that are out there that can alleviate a lot of problems. That's what I want to make sure I can do.
Absolutely.
All right. Got one more scenario. These are just some examples. You can see I'm scratching the surface here. Right? But here's Harold and Louise, right? Harold and Louise are a retired couple in their 70s, living in a modest home they've owned for over 40 years. Yeah. They have 3 adult children and dream of leaving them a meaningful inheritance, not bills or stress.
That's perfectly valid.
You like that idea, right? Okay. But as their health declines, as you get older, that's going to happen, right? They worry about affording a nursing home or assisted living. They've been told they don't qualify for Medicaid because they own the home. And nursing home and things like that are super, super expensive. So worse, even if they do qualify, Medicaid could seize the home after their death, wiping out their children's inheritance. They don't want to become a burden to their kids emotionally or financially. So like you said earlier, you work all your life, and you'd hate to have it all dispersed out just in the latter part of your life. You like to send something. And people may not know, but even if you end up getting any type of assistance with nursing home care or home health care, things like that through Medicaid, they want to be paid back.
Wow, I did not know that.
Absolutely.
I did not know
that. So, but there are tools that are there. That's right. That can be useful for that. And it's called a Medicaid Asset Protection Trust.
Wow. So all of these situations are thought out in this way.
Absolutely.
And where there is a plan, there's a way to do it.
That's right.
I love learning about this. Okay.
Absolutely. It's here.
Great.
And so what this does is they're able to then put their home and any of their maybe larger assets into this. It protects it. So now it no longer becomes a part of their assets. They can be eligible for Medicaid, and they can pay it back out whatever is not in the trust. But whatever's in the trust is protected for their beneficiaries.
Wow. That's great.
Absolutely.
I love how customizable these are. I know these are just a few examples. Is there a way, if you have a unique experience, can you customize your own trust to meet that need in a way these were specific to the examples?
100%. And that's where I come in.
Great.
Right? And that's where it's important for us to sit down so that we can discuss exactly what your situation is. And then I can let you know what type of tools are available that we can craft a specific structure that's going to fit your needs.
That's amazing. And you do consultations, right?
100%.
So you get to learn about, who you are, what your experience is, and you get to kind of help them figure out what's best for them.
100%.
That's great.
That's right. So just a quick recap, the power of a trust, right? That word power really means something now, right?
It's really powerful.
Absolutely. It's a very powerful thing.
It really is.
Absolutely, right? So control during and beyond your lifetime.
Love that.
It's flexible and customizable.
Amazing.
Has legal power and enforcement, right? And privacy and asset protection.
So important.
Absolutely,
Wow.
right? So it's a very powerful tool. So the next question is then, what's next?
What do we
What's
do?
next step? Now you have this information. What do you do with it?
What
right?
do you do with it?
So, all right. So you need to contact me. That's what you need to do.
There we go.
Contact me.
Done.
And just think about it. We're right now, we had this webinar that you're attending. And if you reach out to me and contact me and we set up an appointment, within, let's say, about 4 to 6 weeks, we can have a full plan in place.
That is quick.
Absolutely. And then that's between our engagements. And it starts out by having, first of all, what's called a peace of mind consultation. That's where we sit down. Again, I listen. I listen first. what is it that you're wanting, what's your family dynamics, all these various things that I can understand, and then we can start putting together a plan. And if we find out that we're a good fit, then we go to step 2, where we design the plan. Right? So we design the plan. So we work together, design it. We look at some options, and you let me know which ones that you want to, which path you want to go, and we'll put the plan together with all the pieces. Then I put it together with the documents and the package all together, whether it's a trust or a special needs trust or power of attorneys, all those various documents that are relevant to you and your household. And then we have a signing ceremony, right? Where because it's a big deal.
Yes, it is.
Right? Where we sign it, make it official. And then once it's official, then we can kind of go through the process of funding and things like that. But then it's done and you're ready to go. But it all starts with contacting me and scheduling a free consultation, which is a peace of mind consultation. On the screen is a QR code. You can take a picture, it'll take you right to my calendar.
Great. And
you can set up an appointment for it. Go to the website, jeffreyblairlaw.com, and also go there as well, find out more information about me, about estate planning and trust in general. And also, you can book a session with me as well, I'm there to answer your question.
Great.
All right.
It seems super easy, and it seems like the whole process, you're in control. You get to dictate what this looks like. So that's amazing. I love that.
100%. All right. So you stayed for the whole thing. So those of us still here it is. A gift for being someone who was here at this webinar.
Love that.
If you book your peace of mind session before the end of the month, right? I think it's a few days left at the end of the month. You don't have to schedule it to be this, but schedule it by this for, a week or two in the future. Then whatever package you end up getting, the structure you're getting, I'll take $250 off of that.
Wow.
Package, right?
Wow. That's amazing.
That's my gift to you for staying for the whole session that we have here. And hopefully it was helpful to you guys as well. All right. So again, here's my website. Next step is, schedule a peace of mind planning session. And if this was helpful to you, definitely spread the word. Give me a call, send me an email, and we can get started. Again, my passion is really just making sure I share this information with people. And then we kind of can go from there. As long as I can be helpful, then, that's my purpose. Right? I feel purpose driven.
Great.
All right. Okay. So I think that's it. We did it. Hopefully it was helpful. I enjoyed myself.
It was so helpful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, great. And again, anyone has any questions, now's the time that you can definitely ask them. If not, then we can end it here. And you can always send me an email, and we can follow the conversation then.
Great.
All right. So until next time, again, this is part of Make Estate Planning Made Simple. And definitely look out for other sessions that I'll be having in the future that will focus on some other things. If there's a topic that you're interested in me to do a deep dive on in the estate planning arena, send it to me, and I'll also do that as well. I'm here to help. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah, for joining me. This is fun.
I learned a lot.
I hope so.
I learned a lot. I'm excited for the next webinar. I'm excited to learn more.
Okay.
I love how you broke it down. It was so simple, easy to understand.
Good.
And I love it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. So I think maybe you come to the next one too.
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. I got more questions. So.
All right. Well, take care, everybody. Thank you for joining. Until next time. All right. Yes. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you.